One of the best compliments that can be paid to a wrestler is that they can carry a broomstick to a 5-star match. However, fans have seen matches between some of the best WWE superstars that just didn't live up to expectations. Here are 15 great WWE superstars that had zero chemistry together.
Are you ready?
Hello wrestling fans, this is Van Venom, and if you're new to our channel, please remember to subscribe and put the notifications on so you won't miss any of our unbelievable videos. Number 15. John Cena vs. Randy Orton. While Randy Orton and John Cena have had a long feud, it's best remembered for dragging on forever rather than any excitement in the ring. With multiple pay-per-view appearances and endless TV time, it's hard to recall anything memorable about what should have been a brutal program between the legend killer and the face that runs the place. The meh nature of the entire feud can best be summarized in the cricket's reaction by the crowd during their stare-down in the middle of the ring at the Royal Rumble match in 2011. Number 14. Bayley vs. Alexa Bliss. The Huggable One and Little Miss Bliss are both excellent workers who showcased tremendous charisma in NXT and seemed like a natural pairing for their time on the main roster. However, Bayley's character seemed caught in a quagmire as soon as she began working against Alexa, with Bayley's charisma sinking deeper and deeper into the muck, along with her status as a potential main event star. The feud hit an all-time low during the justly scorned kendo stick on a pole match that saw Bayley portrayed as someone lacking the killer instinct to finish her opponent. Bayley's career hasn't been the same, and while Alexa Bliss's career stumbled momentarily, she's long since regained her form. Number 13. Scott Steiner vs. Triple H. After the WWE cheaped out on bringing the top stars during the Invasion angle, they brought out the checkbook to bring in some top WCW stars when business began to flutter, hoping to give the WWE a shot in the arm. One such wrestler was Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, the genetic freak who had excelled during WCW's dying days as their top heel. Boasting a spectacular physique and engaging promos, Scott seemed like a natural for the program against the World Heavyweight Champion, Triple H. Sadly, Steiner had more ring rust than the Titanic, and the mobility of a cinder block, making it difficult for even Triple H to carry him to a watchable match. What could have been a great series of brawls turned into the wrestling equivalent of watching two elephants trying to ice skate. Number 12. Ric Flair vs. Bret Hart. When two of the greatest mat technicians in wrestling history met, fans knew they were in for something special. They were wrong. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, and Bret Hitman Hart failed to connect in the ring, with fans throwing up their hands in amazement. Were they trying too hard? Were expectations too high? Both men locked up during their time in the WWF and later on in WCW, but neither period provided anything other than an ordinary match. While it would be ludicrous to state their matches were duds, fans expecting 5-star classics got nothing out of the ordinary, and coming from Flair and Hart, that could only be seen as a disappointment. Number 11. Dean Ambrose vs. Bray Wyatt. The concept of Wildman vs. Wildman had the WWE Universe excited, with fans wondering how the lunatic fringe would deal with Bray Wyatt's mind games and unpredictable tactics. With both wrestlers employing brawling tactics in their matches mixed with two exciting finishers, hopes were high for the slobbernknocker of all slobbernknockers. In this case, their styles were too alike, and the WWE's finishes for their pay-per-view matches were awful, as epitomized by the exploding TV monitor that ended one pay-per-view bout. Number 10. Kane vs. The Undertaker. Sibling rivalries are as old as time, with the old-school match between Kane and Abel still remembered as a grappling great. Thus, when Paul Bearer unleashed The Undertaker's storyline brother Kane on the wrestling world, fans were eager to see this battle between monsters. However, what happened in the ring has always been a lackluster brawl, whether it's been the WrestleMania encounters or more bizarre matches such as the Inferno match. You've heard the phrase, "it's like kissing your sister." Now you can add, "it's like wrestling your brother." Both Kane and The Undertaker are two of wrestling's best big men, but they're best kept apart from each other unless it's as their team, the Brothers of Destruction. Number 9. The Legion of Doom vs. Demolition. While WWE creative guru Bruce Pritchard denies Demolition were the WWF's version of the Road Warriors, most fans initially saw Demolition Axe and Smash as a poor man's version of Hulk and Animal. Demolition proved the world wrong, becoming one of the WWF's greatest tag teams, and causing fans to wonder what would happen should the Road Warriors ever come to WWF. When that happened, fans were ready for one of tag team wrestling's greatest encounters, a dream match between four of the baddest men in the ring. What they got instead was a dull series with little violence. Granted, it didn't help that Axe was sidelined due to health problems, resulting in the team recruiting Demolition Crush as an in-ring replacement. Number 8. Chris Jericho and Steve Austin. Chris Jericho, a skilled technician who mixed high-flying moves into his arsenal, had difficulty meshing with Stone Cold Steve Austin despite a career-making match at Vengeance where Y2J became the WWE's first undisputed world champion. Both men cut great pre-match promos, but their work fell short against each other. Nonetheless, Austin has nothing but praise for Jericho as he remarked during a 2017 episode of The Steve Austin Show, "Chris was a hustler. I remember watching that guy and he wasn't the biggest guy in the world. It was just that hair and how he carried himself. He always carried himself like a star, he acted like a star, he had the attitude of a star." Number 7. Christian vs. Edge. As we've seen, some can't-miss matches end up missing the mark in a big way. Despite their long time together as a tag team, not to mention their working together before they entered the WWE, Edge and Christian just didn't click when it came time for them to feud. Were their styles too similar that they couldn't adjust, or was it a case of zero chemistry? Number 6. Hulk Hogan vs. Mr. Perfect. Looking at Hulk Hogan's career, it's easy to see many of his best-remembered matches were against monster heels and wrestlers his size. When it came for the Hulkster to work against smaller opponents, things usually didn't go as well. Although Hogan had good matches against technicians like the Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase and Ric Flair, such was not the case when he defended his WWF Championship against Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig. Hennig was able to bump for Hogan and make him look good, but Hogan's brawling style and Hennig's scientific heel tactics clashed too much to make any of their matches memorable. Number 5. Jake Roberts and Rick Rude. While neither man held a world championship in the WWF, they were mainstays in the upper card, always providing excitement in the ring. Jake and Rick Rude's WrestleMania 4 encounter was a bad sign of things to come, as their time-limit draw proved surprisingly dull. A subsequent feud involving Rude chasing Jake's real-life wife Cheryl had a good storyline, but the in-ring work was as exciting as listening to Michael Cole read from a dictionary. Number 4. Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair. Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair had a surprisingly average match in WCW, leading fans to wonder how they would fare several years later in the WWE. Flair had returned to the ring after serving as Raw general manager, with a storyline that perhaps he was better left retired. Guerrero and Flair's King of the Ring match was little more than a series of run-ins, leaving fans disappointed as to what should have been a good battle. Number 3. The Rock vs. The Undertaker. Two different styles are likely what made this pairing into just another match. The Rock and The Undertaker worked at a time when the WWF had an unbelievable main event roster, with names such as Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mick Foley, and Triple H, and of course, The Rock and Taker. However, not all of these combinations worked as seen whenever The Rock and The Undertaker battled each other. The Rock could talk fans into the arena, but once the bell rang, what should have been a main event match seemed like just another TV match. Number 2. Randy Orton vs. Bray Wyatt. This was a well-developed feud that saw Randy Orton join the Wyatt family, only to destroy it from within, leaving Bray Wyatt to face Randy Orton at WrestleMania 33. However, what should have been a brutal number of bouts instead turned into a gimmick-ridden series, beginning with WrestleMania's bizarre match where projections of creepy crawlies were supposedly designed to scare Orton, but made the match reminiscent of a rejected Papa Shango angle. The follow-up House of Horrors match was equally ridiculous, and fans breathed a sigh of relief when Wyatt was moved to Raw. Number 1. Bill Goldberg vs. Triple H. Most fans were very disappointed with Old Whisker Biscuits, as The Rock so affectionately called Goldberg, first run in WWE. It was obvious to all but Vince McMahon that no one in Titan Tower knew how to book WCW's homegrown megastar against WWE Superstars. Arguably, the biggest example of this was Goldberg's quest to dethrone Triple H of the World Heavyweight Championship, and made Goldberg look nothing like the dominant wrestler who'd amazed WCW fans. As you can see, putting two talented wrestlers together is never a guarantee the two will click. Whatever the reasons, these 15 matchups proved to have zero chemistry, disappointing fans in the process. I'm Van Venom, and as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to put a like, subscribe, and leave your opinion in the comments below.